I want the government, all of the cabinet of the president, the ministers, all of them, even him himself, must come here and be with us physically. We're tired of seeing him on television making empty promises. When we're given an opportunity to be with him, he gives a speech that is supposed to flatter us, and then he leaves. And all of his cabinet joins him and leave. What does this tell us? It tells us that they have disrespected us enough. You agreed to this national dialogue. The least that you can do is to come here and be with us. Right now, the deputy president, Paul Mashatile, he came for like an hour, 30 minutes, and then he left. Right after I said something about it, probably he came because of me, but I don't want to give myself that satisfaction. But right after I said something, that's when he came back. That is very much disrespectful. So we want to be with this. If we want to talk about health, bring the Minister of Health. We're talking about safety, bring the Minister of Safety. Defense, bring Njimutega. Education, bring Sipio Khorube. Bring the ministers. They need to be here in the physical to be with us because they are working for us. Allow every citizen of South Africa to speak. This is the only way that we're actually going to get somewhere. Allow us to voice out. You know what? The best thing that the youth of the apartheid regime, the black youth of the apartheid had, was that they were vocal. They were united. Even the leaders there, Chris Hani was not just a leader by being behind television. He was a leader because he was amongst the people. This is what we need right now. We need leaders who are going to be amongst us in order for us to tackle the issues that we're facing in the Republic of South Africa. We don't need a leader that's going to go into the United States and talk about a chant. We need a leader that is going to be here, address the issues of unemployment and poverty, not to make himself look good in the eyes of Trump. Yes.
I think for one, I could say that when I stood up to speak, it was after noticing that from yesterday there was no time for people to speak to their presentations and ask questions and engage on it. And secondly is that we had a process where we went on various commissions, and in those commissions we shared our voices, and we're hoping that our voices will be interpreted or will be shared in a space when we are now back in the main hall or the main plenary. When the presentation was now being presented, it was very diluted, and as an organization, Sonke Gender Justice, I was not happy and was not comfortable with that being a report that will be shared on all the deliberations that had taken place. So I'm also happy for the advocacy that took place that afforded us about 2 hours for us to really put our voices out there, because I think that advocacy and the request that but our voices are not there gave provision for us to then be included in the program. Since these processes are supposed to be community-led or civil society-led, it's important that they tap into the experts within the gender space. Those experts will be able to assist them in making sure that there's gender equality in the processes, and there's the recognition of the different aspects of gender inequality in all these aspects. And then the more they engage with the experts, we'll be able to then have a roadmap or a process that is inclusive, a process that is fair, and a process that represents our communities, because I believe that we could have stayed out of the process and become bystanders. But being invited here, we thought having to participate in the process gives us an opportunity to at least shape the way and direct the processes or the way in which the process can go, and give that technical expertise, right? And also through the steering committee, we are hoping that there will be accountability, leadership and coordination that is more inclusive, that is more consultative and engaging with the people.
So usually they will generalize us under faith-based communities. But Rastafari is not all about faith. We're a nation. So with so many activities, faith is just but one component of it. So we have educators like him. He's a director at the University of Indigenous Knowledge Systems. So we do colloquiums. We have a whole lot of things that we do to be just placed under faith, and therefore our problem be addressed as a religious problem, when our problems are not only religious, a nation problem. We think it's the beginning of that process, because we have been raising these things, in different forums that we find ourselves sitting in. But we think because now they're talking about national dialogue and trying to take into consideration every sector of the society, we think that will be, we are registering this issue to form part of national dialogue. That let's talk about that.
What made
You see, once recognition come with protection. Once you are recognized, then it is their responsibility to promote and to protect and to promote you as a sect. Like, you know, the LGB communities, the sex workers. So once you are having this sector that you recognize on its own right, and you're not only having us to come only to pray when we're opening events, then you are able to deal with our sector-specific problems.
I'm here to represent women in the cultural creative industry, and moreover women of the 80s in music industry. Women who stood fast when others were in exile, and some were not even born in the music industry, and they ceased to be forgotten. Oh well, I think they will encompass them if we present ourselves in an appropriate way. This is a platform that we have to utilize so that we can have our voices heard, even though they know that we stood fast when others were in exile and others were not born. But you know, the challenges that we face in the collective bargaining system of the music industry, and you know, and the issues of policies, some of them would not know how to deal with those issues.
I would say that we are represented enough, hence we are here, because we are the voices. So if you see us present here, it means that the TVET sector is indeed represented, and it shows that our government takes the TVET sector very serious. I mean, after all, we are the future of this country. TVET sector contributes immensely into the economy of our country, because we do not just produce theoretical graduates, but we produce graduates that have skills and they're contributing back into the economy of our country. I would say that TVET is the future. Why not come to the TVET? TVET should be the institution of choice, especially because, hence I mentioned that we do not only offer theoretical practicals, but we offer practicals. So it means that we are going to be skilling them into making sure that they do not just go out as graduates who are going to be looking at jobs, but they are going to be entrepreneurs, job creators of tomorrow. And our country needs more entrepreneurs, more than people that are looking for jobs, especially right now. We know that youth of South Africa, they always complain that there is high unemployment rate in South Africa, but then TVET is the solution. So I think in one of the launch that I attended in the TVET month, our DDG has spoken that TVET should not be at the pyramid, so it should be in the middle. After high school, TVET should be the second one, providing skills, sending students out there. And then after, if a student decides that they actually want to further their studies, they can then go to university.
We do believe that children's rights need to be foreground, needs to be prioritized, and therefore children's participation must also be prioritized. Children make up about a third of the population in South Africa. They have a right to take part, they have a right to have their voices heard, and they have a right for their voices to be respected and to be implemented. So we have come here to raise that, their voices and to make sure that children will be considered fully. And we've argued that the principals need to adopt a child participation process, right, to ensure that children will be included, so that the guidelines that will go out to the provinces, to the communities, to the local districts, that they were given a guideline that they must include children in the dialogues. But also, more important like that, we also want to have a standalone process, dialogues and labs just for children, where children amongst themselves, amongst their peers, can express their own views about what they dream about for South Africa, what are the issues that confront them, and what do they think we should do to resolve some of these challenges that children have. Our children are experiencing many challenges, right? Both in terms of in the home personally, children experience lots of challenges. Their parents have become unemployed, therefore their poverty rates are increasing, children are going hungry. We also have situations where parents are unable to afford the basic needs of children. Sometimes they don't have water, they don't have electricity. And at school, for example, we have situations where some of our schools are quite neglected. Children are in overcrowded classrooms, they don't have proper sort of infrastructure, their toilets are a big problem, and sometimes even their teachers are not properly skilled. And in the public domain, we've also experienced lots of challenges for children from the environmental sector, where we have infrastructure problems, we have sanitation problems, transport problems, a whole range of things. So children do have a tough period. The other thing, of course, also is that children are exposed to a lot of abuse and violence. And that is one of the issues that we also think that needs to be addressed. And children need to be able to express how they're feeling, how the experience has been, and also what are the remedies. And so we do feel that all children, their voices need to be heard, whether it's children who are disabled, differently able children, children who are in our institutions, for example, in shelters, in care centers, their voices must be heard as well. Children in the rural areas, our children in informal settlements, right? Their voice also must be heard. Children in schools, their voices must be heard. So all children should have equal opportunity for their voices to be heard. And we're very happy that the auditorium today seem as if they support the position that children's participation must be a principled stand and position, that to ensure that children will be included and that their voices will be heard.
Yeah, basically what I would like is for continuous inclusivity of this nature. Yes, we do understand that we are here. We are representing the organizations that we represent, but more needs to be done in terms of consultation with our sector. We don't want issues about us to be for, it must be off, in terms of along with us. Yeah. So now we do adhere to that we are saying we are here. We're very grateful for that. Yeah. But there could be more done in terms of consultation with us. What we've experienced in the past is that where they find issues of personal disabilities, people have an issue of not understanding how to deal with us, then they just exclude us. But in the first place, if they would include us from the beginning, you wouldn't get stalemates, such as things that have happened here today. But with the leadership that us as personal disabilities, other organizations, that we have come together, that we don't want to be isolate and destroy concept by the people who are in charge of getting our services to us. Those people must work with us. So now with the unity that we want going forward, it needs to start with us first. That's what we're saying. Moving from that, going to our constituencies, we must go hand in hand with the organizers of the national dialogue, not follow the leader, but we must be on the same path. Then we'll be in a position now of our people on the ground to feel fully included into what is happening of this opportunity. Yeah. There are issues that you are not happy with, but to put it plainly, thank you very much. Yeah.
I'm very disappointed with what happened, because I thought at last the government will hear our concerns and our hopes. So my concern exactly straight to people with albinism, we are not taken like seriously, because with our issues, and it's so different because let me make an example of a sunscreen. A sunscreen is not you cannot find it anywhere, and even in the country it's not manufactured, but the government does not do anything with that. Instead, we can go and fetch ARVs out there for the people who made the choice to have an HIV. And I didn't make a choice to have a condition of albinism because cancer is not curable. So these are the concerns that we wanted to raise and so that they can hear, but unfortunately it didn't act well. Yeah.